The most important thing for a man, in my opinion, is time. Time is the most important thing for a man for a bunch of reasons. One of the main reasons is that as men, as time passes, if you're putting in the work, you're typically and will typically become more desirable because you have finances in order, you have assets, you're able to provide resources. If you've been working on yourself and you've been in the gym and have been eating healthy, you're still handsome and optimal and young enough to move however you want to move in life. This is one of the main reasons women love older men, because older men are usually more valuable than a younger guy, because the younger guy, is not that he's not valuable, he has just not had time to evolve into the man that he is supposed to be. Fellas, as a man, you can literally suck at life at 31 years old. At 35 years old, your life could completely suck. You could live at home with your mom. You could be making $30,000 a year and not have your shit together. And if you put in that work 6 to 10 years, right? Which I know sounds like a long time, but it's really not when you're continuously grinding and adding to your life every year. You can literally suck at life at 31 and be the fucking man at 41. I was talking to one of my gym bros, and he's 43 years old, and he has a very successful life. And I just asked him, I said, what was your life like at 28 years old? Because this is the time we had this conversation. So this was like 2 years ago. I just wanted to know what he was doing at my age. And he said that he didn't have any money. He wasn't really on his purpose. He wasn't on his grind. He wasn't really in the gym. He said he's in the best shape of his life at his age now than when he was in his 20s. Because in his 20s, he was just partying and drinking and chasing women a lot. But he said he just had a reality check, which he never really told me what it was. He just said he had a reality check and he got on his grind. And now in his 40s, he's living the life he dreamed of. And his chick is fucking gorgeous. He got I think his chick's like 29, 31 years old that he works out with, and she is fucking beautiful. You understand what I'm saying? And the thing about being a guy in your 40s is that you're old enough to date older women, but you're also young enough to date younger women. So you're literally in a prime position to be optimal and equally desirable for both age brackets of women. I think that if more men understood the way that men actually age and the time that's invested and the most valuable thing that we have is time, it would ease the minds of a lot of mental breakdowns, because there are a lot of guys who are only 27 years old and their life may not be what they think it is, or they're only 31 years old and their life may not be what they think it is, and they feel like their life is over. They're on the verge of committing suicide. But if you actually understood the time that it takes to actually become a full, optimal, desirable male, you would understand that you are not as bad off as you think you are. Now, I'm not saying that we have time to just fuck around and just piss off time chasing women and doing things. Every day is a deposit towards your future, right? You gotta be locked in. As a man, you gotta be locked in if you want to take advantage of the way we age. Now, if you're just a guy who's 30 years old and and let's say you just turned 30, like I'm 30 years old. Let's just say I were to take my 30s and I don't work on my physique. I don't work on my stock portfolio. I don't network and make connections, because I told you that it's very, very important that you have friends in higher places than you, right? Because you just never know where your paths may cross, and if they're at a higher place, they may be in a place that you want to elevate to, and they can help you get there, right? Networking is very important. So the things that you do in your 30s and even in your 20s play a part, because it's a daily deposit of what your future will be like as a man. I think smart men think in decades. And when I say that, I mean you think 10 years ahead, even maybe 5 years ahead, which I know is not a decade, but my point is that you think years beyond where you are. But in order for you to do that, instant gratification cannot be what you chase, because you'll never be able to have that farsight. Guys constantly ask me, Why you always go to the gym? Why you always go to the gym? I got a couple of homies who don't really work out. You know, they're really not into the fitness thing or anything like that. You always in the gym, John. You always in the gym. Why the fuck you always in the gym? Because I know that preserving myself as a man is very, very important. It's very important that we do that. Because even though a man is really not judged on his looks as much as a woman is, life is way easier when you got your shit together, and on top of that you handsome, and on top of that you in shape. You make attracting women that much fucking easier. And a lot of times, guys, when you're this type of man and you're on this grind, you're gonna have haters because they envy what you're doing because they don't have the ability to stay that consistent to do what you do. Why you always in the gym? Why you always in the gym? Why you always working out? And that's why your bitch choosing. That exactly right there is why your bitch is choosing, right? You want to find every way that you can make yourself desirable as a man. That's what's so beautiful about the fact that we age, the way that we age and the time that's put in, we become better. That's what's so beautiful about it, because we have this time to work on all these different components that are going to make us that desirable male, that optimal version of yourself. And I think that's so dope. Like when you really, really conceptualize that and you think about like, why am I 31 years old having a midlife crisis? Why am I 35 years old feeling like my life is over? Bro, you could literally bust your ass for 5 or 6 years, and at 42, you could be the man you always aspired to be. You know, there's so many things that you can do. Like I know a lot of guys say that, well, your body's not the same when you're 40. Well, get on fucking TRT. I just did a video about testosterone replacement therapy. There's no reason that you can't be successful, jacked, and happy and living the life you want to live at 45 years old. So realistically, I'm 30 years old right now. In 15 years, if I make daily deposits every day and build and really work on myself, at 45, I could be a much better version of myself than I am right now at 30. But see, what's so beautiful about it is that women usually can't do that. Yeah, they can go to work and they can get money and they can make investments and things like that, but they aren't judged off of that. Usually their beauty is nowhere near what it was at 23 years old versus at 45 years old. But for men, it's different. I see a lot of men who look a lot more handsome older than they did when they were younger. And I think that this type of information should be talked about because it's very comforting to know that in the back of your mind that as a man, you have time. So that what's the rush to get married? What's the rush to have children? Because children take away from your grind. And I have a 10-year-old daughter, and I'm not a full-time father because my daughter obviously does not live with me, but the time that I do spend with her and the time that I put in with her, that time is important because let's just say you didn't have a child, right? That time you could be adding to your purpose and your grind. Not that I'm complaining about it, because that's the thing about being a father. Once you become a father, one of the hardest things I had to understand, and which I'm still working on, and I think that's a part of the development of the brain and age, is that your time is not your time when you have children. Which is why wives and children and becoming a family man prematurely will delay your success as a man, because in order for them to thrive, you have to give of yourself. Even for instance, the money you pay for child support, that money could be used for investments. That money could be used for other things to help you become better in life. But as a father, you have to provide. So you have to give your $600, your $500, your $400 a month, whatever you give. Some guys pay more. I know a guy that pays $2,000 a month for his 2 children. You understand what I'm saying? It's all about your tax bracket and where you are and how your situation is set up. But what I am saying is that these are examples of how becoming a father or a husband or a boyfriend prematurely can delay your success. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have these things, but you want to have these things when you have built yourself up. And this is typically why, in my opinion, I think it's better for men to wait to indulge themselves in things like this when they're much old, until they are much older. Because when you're older, you have literally given yourself time to mature into that full man. You're not a full man at 30 years old. At 35, if you're putting in the work, you're going to be a totally different guy. And I just, think that this is very, very important that as men, we wrap our minds around this, because I hear a lot of guys talking about mental health and, I feel suicidal and this and that, because the suicide rate is the highest amongst men, which I don't understand, because we have the most time to get our shit together. I told you, you could literally suck at 31 years old and at 41 be that fucking guy. But at the same time, you have guys killing themselves at 25 years old, at 24 years old, at 20 years old. I remember when I was living at home with my parents, there was a neighbor that lived 3 houses down from them. And one morning we woke up to like the most horrendous scream I've ever heard in my fucking life. I mean, this was like the worst scream I have ever heard. Like, hearing it would make your heart bleed. It was that bad. It was horrible. Next thing I know, I see all these police cars flying down the street. It had to be like 10 to 15 police cars. And my father walks down the street and to see what was going on. He comes back up. He has his hand on his head. He's like, I'm not going to say his name, but he was like, so-and-so killed himself. And I said, what? He said, yeah, blew his head off. The cop who came out and told him was in tears because whatever he saw was that bad. This guy was only 15 years old. 15. So many men are committing suicide, having midlife crisis, anxiety attacks, and panic attacks, all because they have not wrapped their minds around the greatest advantage of being a man, and that is time. Those are one of the greatest advantages that we have, is that we have time to mature and to get better. We have time to rectify things, but you have to be putting in the work. You can't just let time by and be like, well, I'm 30, at 40, I'll be a better man. But you ain't going to the gym. You're not learning to edify yourself. You're not putting yourself in better circles of peers and around men who are in higher places than you are. You're not networking properly. You're not doing anything that will add a daily deposit, but you're thinking you're going to be this optimal guy at 40. Now that's delusional. I'm not saying we just get better just because we're men. But if you use the time that you have as a man to get better, then your life will do a complete 180 in 5 to 6 years. That's why I say the greatest revenge we have, a lot of guys, how to get my ex back? I got to get my ex back, bro. Calling her ain't going to get her back. Blowing her phone up ain't going to get her back. All that blue pill fairy tale dream, standing outside of her fucking window with a radio telling her you sorry, that's not gonna get your bitch back. You really wanna get a girl back that you lost? Just get fucking better in life. Grind, bust your fucking ass. If you a skinny motherfucker, get jacked. Imagine how your bitch feel when she left you, bro. You was a skinny ass, Dorito eating, video game, cake eating motherfucker. 6 years, she scroll on your gram. Mind you, she blocked you. She over you. She ain't thinking you gonna be shit. 6 years, she finally decide to see what's going on. She scroll on Instagram, or one of her homegirls forward her a reel of you or a picture of your ass, and you fucking jacked, and you in shape. She clicked on your link. You got businesses. You got shit. You doing shit. How you think that bitch gonna feel? What you think she gonna do? You think she's gonna be like, oh well? She gonna be like, damn, he got better. Oh my God. Hey, big head, how have you been? It's been a long time. Haven't talked in a while. Stranger, eyes, she in your DMs. That's the greatest revenge that you could ever have on a female, is just to fucking improve. That's it. The time that you put in as a man is very, very important, because it can take you from sucking at life, sucking balls at life, pause, no homo, sucking terribly at life, and in 6 years, 10 years, you was that nigga. Because that time in between, you worked and you put in work. You understand what I'm saying? I think it's so important that as men, we understand that. You know? Time, man. What are you doing with your time, bro? What are you doing? Daily deposits each and every day. They play a significant part in your future. Lock in right now while you have the time. You don't want to, let 10 years pass by. You're like, man, damn, I wished I could have. Damn, I should have. Man, God, damn, like, just do it right now. Sacrifice going out with that chick. Sacrifice hanging out with your bros, smoking weed. Sacrifice eating the shit that I know you want to eat because it tastes good and get you a solid grown man ass diet and go to the gym and lift some fucking weights. Just build, just get better. Man, that's it for the video, man. Until next time, peace.